Check. Check. Is it audible? Yeah. So we'll continue the body fluids. Okay, we continue the body fluids. So last session we discussed about the T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes, how the T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes confers immunity by means of antibody mediated immunity and cell mediated immunity. So the last So what we're going to discuss next is actually at this point of time you are understood like what is CMI and what is AMI. You asked the question corpuscles abdina. Corpuscles means any cells, yeah, RBC, white blood corpuscles, red blood corpuscles சொல்றோம்னா the corpuscles are the cells which doesn't have any cell organelles like mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulum இந்த மாதிரி organelles இல்லாத cells அத நம்ம என்ன சொல்றோம்னா corpuscles னு சொல்றோம் சரியா. So that is the reason why red blood corpuscles, white blood corpuscles. So we differentiated the AMI and CMI, but remember always B cell, B lymphocyte is for antibody mediated immunity and T cell is for cell mediated immunity. With that we go to the next part, that is blood grouping. So when we talking about a blood, simultaneously we discuss about blood grouping as well. As far as blood grouping is concerned, இது நம்ம புக்ஸ்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா ரெண்டு டைப் ஆஃப் blood grouping கொடுத்திருப்பாங்க. So one is ABO blood grouping, other one is RH typing. So these two types of blood grouping that we're going to discuss actually. So ABO blood grouping, இத நீங்க genetics angle நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா this ABO blood grouping we call it as a multiple allelism அப்படினு பாப்பீங்க. ஏன் multiple allelism அப்படினா ABO three genes irukku, three alleles irukku. So this is a condition where you could see multiple allelism. Okay, so welcome back. So I hope you joined online here. Fine. So ABO blood grouping, multiple allelism. So ABO idan neenga AB mattum eduthinga, that is a example we could see codominance nu padichirupinga, adu AB mattum. But Carl Landsteiner actually when he is a scientist actually first discovered ABO blood grouping in the year 1900 actually. He first found, he got the Nobel Prize for this, Carl Landsteiner, right? Fine. ABO blood grouping is a classical example for multiple allelism. This is a classical example for multiple allelism. The reason why it's called as multiple allelism, ABO. There are three alleles like which is playing important role in determining actually the phenotype and genotype of the particular individual, right? So this is called as the example for a multiple allelism. But in the area we're not going to discuss anything about the genetics of the ABO blood grouping. Blood ABO varanal, so we're going to discuss like in the blood grouping how we're going to find out. So ABO blood grouping, the things like three important things like how we can differentiate ABO blood grouping. First, for example, you take the RBC. Second is you take your serum. Then based on this, like what type of blood group the person might be. Fine. So for example, you take the RBC. For example, the patient, the person blood group is A blood group irukkranga appadina, the RBC of the particular person, the A group oda irukravanga RBC mala enna irukona, you could see something called as A antigen irukku. This is actually like an A antigen which is present. And I told you already something called as antigen. Antigen or definition enna, any foreign substance which provokes the immune response is called as antigen. Appo I'm using the word here as an antigen. Appo neenga kekakooda this against நம்ம உடம்புல வந்து antibodies produce பண்ணோமா அப்படினா, because it's no. The reason is because like these antigens are called as self antigens. Self antigens அப்படினா what is actually right from the birth itself, it's a part of our body, so it's not giving room for our immune system. நம்ம நோய் எதிர்ப்பு சக்திக்கு இது என்ன, இது வந்து வெளியில இருந்து வந்த பொருளா இருக்கு, ஏன்னா பிறந்ததுல இருந்து நம்ம உடம்புக்குள்ள இருக்கிறதுனால, so this is considered as a self antigen, right? So A நம்ம RBC மேல இருக்கிற this antigen A is actually the self antigen. Serumல என்ன இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா anti A இருக்கு. So you could see what is the antibodies you could see in a serum is actually anti B, right? But அப்படின்னா the patient, the person blood group is A. நீங்க ஒருவேளை in case like anti B பதிலா anti A இருந்துச்சுன்னா என்ன ஆகும்னா the anti A will act, anti in the words always shows against. This will again act against its own RBC. அவங்களோட RBC க்கு against it act பண்ணும்போது என்ன ஆகும், RBC will get lyzed or RBC will get destroyed. So the serum anti B இருக்கும். So anti B cannot act against this self, that A antigen, because A is different, B is different. A பாசிட்டிவா இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு வந்து என்னவா இருக்கும்னா அவங்க செரம்ல I told you already what is a serum, right? Serumல it's actually antibody. This is an antibody. The antibody is anti B, but the antigen is A. For example, you take B. The person's blood group is B. RBC எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா you could see in the RBC, you could see the B antigen on the surface. The self antigen சொல்றது வந்து B antigen ஆகும். அப்போ serum என்னவா இருக்கும் கண்டிப்பா you could see only the anti A word. So definitely this anti-A cannot act against this and this B antigen. So the blood group of the individual is B. For example, the person's blood group is AB. AB இருந்துச்சுன்னா என்ன ஆகும்னா RBC என்ன இருக்கும்னா கண்டிப்பா ரெண்டு ஆன்டிஜன் இருக்கும். So on the surface of the RBC you could see the presence of both A antigen as well as B antigen, right? இதுல serumல என்ன ஆன்டிபாடி இருக்கணும் ஆக்சுவலி இருக்குமா இருக்காது we won't have any antibodies because anti A இருக்க கூடாது anti B இருக்காது so the person's blood group is AB because the RBC is containing both A as well as B antigen ரெண்டு antigen இருக்கிறனால the serum which will not be having any antibody so the person's blood group is AB. In case the blood group is O, இப்ப பர்சனோட blood group வந்து ஓவா இருக்கு அப்படின்னா என்ன ஆகும்னா RBC என்னவா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா RBC will not be having any antigens, whereas you could see the antibody will be having both anti-A as well as anti-B. So the person blood group என்னவா இருக்கும்னா the blood group will be O. Based on the presence or absence of antigen, right? Then O group. So blood group ஓவா இருந்துச்சுன்னா serumல என்ன இருக்கும் serumல வந்து you could see both antibody immunoglobulin. The other name for immunoglobulin is antibody. I told you antibody is the structural concept. I mean like functional concept. ஒரு ஃபங்க்ஷனை பத்தி நான் சொல்லணும்னா நான் யூஸ் பண்ற வேர்ட் என்னவா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா antibody. Structural concept ன்னு வரும்போது immunoglobulin describe the structure. Then I use the word called as immunoglobulin, right? உங்களுக்கு தெரியும் immunoglobulin-ன்றது 5 types இருக்கு. What are the 5 types of immunoglobulin? We have IG, G, IgM, IgA, IgD, IgE. These are the 5 different types of immunoglobulin, right? So this is what actually like the presence of A blood group or B blood group or A or O. இப்போ சில AB positive, A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா this is because of an additional antigen. This antigen is called as H antigen. This H antigen will be having additional. So அதுதான் என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க RH அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். இந்த H antigen என்ன பண்ணும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா for example you see this is actually the case where the RBC இருக்கு அப்படின்னா the RBC க்கு மேல வந்து this is a A antigen இருக்கு. Additionally you could see something called as H antigen. இந்த H antigen இருந்ததுன்னா then the person is A positive. In case you could see you not see the presence of this antigen then the person must be A negative. So என்ன விஷயம் அப்படின்னா பாசிட்டிவ் நெகட்டிவ்ன்றத வந்து எப்படி ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்றோம்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா because of RH என்றது என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா because of the monkey name, right? That is rhesus monkey, macaca rhesus அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. This was first identified in the monkey that groups apes groups actually. So அதுல இருந்து first கண்டுபிடிச்சனால தான் this is called as RH. This H antigen which was first found in a monkey is the rhesus monkey. We call it as a rhesus. So rhesus monkeys. So this is called as RH typing. RH typing என்னன்னா there will be an additional antigen that you could see that this is actually we call it as H antigen. This H antigens, the RH determines the positivity. If there is no H antigens present on surface of RBC, then it is negative. அதே மாதிரி for example if in the blood group என்ன சொல்றீங்க the RBC is having like both like A and B, then it is like AB positive because AB positive will be having A antigen, B antigen as well as H antigen. மூணுமே இருக்கனால it is A B positive. இதுல வந்து for example you take like H antigen கிடையாது. So H இல்லனா என்ன வரும் AB negative வரும். இப்போ for example O negative இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு எப்படி இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா this is for example RBC நீங்க எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா O negative எப்படி இருக்கும் இப்படிதான் இருக்கும். இதுல வந்து A antigen இருக்காது, B antigen இருக்காது, H antigen இருக்காது. There are no antigens present on the surface of the RBC, then it is definitely it must be O negative. இதே RBC ல வந்து you could see the presence of what is it called only H antigen. இது மட்டும் H மட்டும் தான் இருக்கு. H antigen மாதிரி RH antigen மட்டும் தான் இருக்கு, right? So H antigen அப்படி இருந்ததுன்னா that is actually we call it as O positive. இப்போ அது என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னா O positive, ரைட்டா? இதுல சில சப் குரூப்ஸ் இருக்கும். சப் குரூப் A1B பாசிட்டிவ் அப்படின்னா the சப் குரூப் A1 பாசிட்டிவ் அப்படின்னு என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா there is a derivative actually. the self antigens இருக்கு பாருங்க. the self antigens மேல A1B னா the self antigens மேல சின்ன precursor molecules மாதிரி இருக்கும் மேல. A னா ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் A1B A1 இதுல வந்து precursors இருக்காது மேல. the sub groups இருக்கும் மேல. அந்த சப் குரூப்க்கு செலக்டிவா ஒரு ஆன்டிபாடி போட்டு ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணாதான் we can identify அவங்க A1B பாசிட்டிவா AB1 பாசிட்டிவா அப்படின்றது தெரியும். பட் மோஸ்ட்லி அந்த அளவுக்கு சப் குரூப்ஸ் பார்க்க மாட்டாங்க. the subgroups is actually like the polypeptide, the chains of command, the precursor molecule, the polypeptide chains. In the polypeptide chains of which we can identify whether they are like an A1, B, like A, B1 positive, and the Mariana continuum. So out of these groups like A, B, AB positive, the universal donor அப்படின்றது வந்து யார் வேணா ரத்தம் கொடுக்கலாம். So அவங்க வந்து என்ன சொல்லணும் O positive, right? They can give the blood to the any group of individuals. Who can receive? They're universal donors. Universal recipients are AB blood group. Universal recipients mean they can receive blood from anyone, right? So which is the rarest blood group? இருக்கிறது வந்து for example AB, AB, O. இதுல வந்து AB negative. AB negative is actually the rarest. AB ல கூட positive negative இருக்கு. AB negative is actually like the rarest blood group. நீங்க இன்னொரு விஷயம் கேட்கலாம், ABO மட்டும்தான் blood group இருக்கா? ABRH மட்டும்தான்? There are other rarest blood group. For example, you can call it as blood grouping, like you call it as Bombay blood grouping. In the H antigens, for example, அதிகமா வந்து Bombay sites அதிகமா first கண்டுபிடிச்சனால this is also called as Bombay blood grouping. அவங்க இருக்க பாம்பேல இருக்க அந்த ஏரியால இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு அதிகமா அந்த H antigens இருக்கனால it was first even identified as a Bombay blood grouping, right? So because that particular community of people, later these people like scattered to different areas, like அப்புறம் the diversity ஏற்பட்டதுல இருந்து என்ன ஆச்சுன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா other people's also started sharing the same antigens, right? So now it's not selectively with that particular community. Worldwide எல்லாருக்குமே வந்து இந்த this particular antigens, the H antigen seems to be common. But initial part of time there was only in a particular community they usually got like this type of H antigen. Apart from ABO blood grouping, right? இது இல்லாம வந்து for example del இருக்கு, Coffee, then we have Lutheran. இதெல்லாம் வந்து சில ரேரஸ்ட் பிளட் குரூப். நம்ம என்ன பண்ணிருக்கோம், ஒரு ஏபிஓ மட்டும் தான் பிளட் குரூப் இருக்கு அப்படின்றது பிகாஸ் இட்ஸ் வேர்ல்ட் வைட் அக்செப்டட். பட் சில ரேரஸ்ட் ரொம்ப ரேர் பிளட் குரூப்ஸ் கூட சில இடத்துல நம்ம we can see this del, Coffee, Lutheran இதெல்லாம் என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா ஆக்சுவலா வந்து these are all actually the rarest blood groups actually. But universal நம்ம அக்செப்ட் பண்ற ஒரு blood group பாத்தீங்கன்னா ABO along with it RH type, right? Universal rarest blood group பாத்தீங்கன்னா OH, that is like the rarest blood group AB negative. Yeah, AB negative, right? So these are the rarest blood group. So these are the some of the rarest blood group. But the textbook la neenga pathina ABO blood grouping பத்தி மட்டும் தான் பாத்துருக்கோம். எப்படி ஆக்சுவலா வந்து இது வந்து பிரின்சிபல் எதை பேஸ் பண்ணி நீங்க blood grouping சொல்றீங்க, A blood group, B blood group, A positive, B positiveன்றது இந்த டேப்ல காணும். பட் நீங்க டயக்னோசிஸ் பண்றீங்க, ஒரு பேஷண்ட் பர்சன் வராங்க அவங்களுக்கு blood grouping பண்ணனும்னும் போது this will principle வந்து ரிவர்ஸா ஒர்க் அவுட் ஆகும். எப்படி ஒர்க் அவுட் ஆகும் அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் நீங்க you want to like perform the blood grouping பண்ணும்போது என்ன பண்ணுவீங்கன்னா you'll be adding like 3 bells actually. So the 3 bells add பண்ணும்போது என்ன ஆகும், for example you mark it as A, you mark it as B, you mark it as a D. D is nothing but H antigen. So இதுல என்ன பண்ணுவீங்கன்னா you just add the drop of the blood. எப்பவுமே blood நீங்க கலெக்ட் பண்ணும்போது first the middle finger எடுத்துட்டு the middle fingerல என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க, first drop of the blood has to be wiped off. first drop of ஏனா அதுல வந்து most dead cells இருக்கும். So அதனால first drop என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, wipe off பண்ணிட்டு then they keep the second drop, then the third drop, then the fourth drop blood வந்து இதுல வைப்பாங்க. Then what they will do is actually like they will be adding antibodies. இந்த இடத்துல வந்து which antibodies they supposed to add, இது வந்து procedure. நான் first கொடுத்த டேப்ல காலம் வந்து என்னன்னா principle. இது வந்து procedure நீங்க வந்து எப்படின்னா இதுல என்ன ஆன்டிபாடி ஆட் பண்ணணும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா ஆன்டி ஏ தான் ஆட் பண்ணணும். ஆனா பிரின்சிபல் பார்க்கும்போது ஏ பிளட் குரூப்ல இருக்கிற ஆர்பிசில வந்து ஆன்டி பி இருக்கும், புரியுதுங்களா? பட் இந்த ப்ரொசீஜர் பண்ணும்போது இங்க என்ன ஆன்டிபாடி ஆட் பண்ணணும், ஆன்டி பி ஆட் பண்ணணும். இங்க என்ன ஆட் பண்ணணும்னா ஆன்டி டி ஆர் ஆன்டி ஹெச். அப்பதான் என்ன நடக்கும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா this antigen and antibody. ஆன்டிஜன் எங்க இருக்கு, ஆர்பிசில இருக்கு, உங்க பிளட்ல இருக்கு. ஆன்டிபாடி எங்க இருக்கு, ஆன்டிபாடி இஸ் தேர் இந்த சொல்யூஷன்ல இருக்கும், கிட்ல இருக்கும். antigen antibody வந்து சேரும்போது என்ன ஆகும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா there will be reaction takes place. This reaction we call it as agglutination reaction. So blood grouping procedure is actually like agglutination reaction. அப்படின்றது என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா when there is actually the reaction takes place between soluble antigen and insoluble antibody. So soluble antigen and insoluble antibody க்கு ரெண்டுத்துக்கும் நடுவுல நடக்கிற அந்த ரியாக்ஷனுக்கு பேரு தான் we call it as an agglutination reaction. சரியா? So இதுல இந்த blood grouping வந்து என்ன, blood ஆட் பண்றீங்க, bloodல RBC இருக்கு, நீங்க வந்து அந்த ஆன்டிபிஎல் சொல்யூஷன் ஆட் பண்றீங்க, ரெண்டுத்தையும் நம்ம capillary tube போட்டு மிக்ஸ் பண்ணீங்கன்னா கொஞ்ச நேரத்துல என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா you can see like in a clump kind of formation. For example, in that you could see the agglutination, the mari oru chinna precipitate mari form agum. Here you could see the precipitate formation, and B is actually like here also you got the precipitate formation. So if a person oda blood group ennava irukum kandipa the person blood group, here there is no agglutination, so here you could see the agglutination, here also you could see the agglutination. Definitely the person blood group is B positive, because B circle la ungalku enna vandirukku, agglutination vandirukku. D ல உங்களுக்கு என்ன வந்திருக்குன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா you got the agglutination. So okay, so this is what actually like the procedure for blood grouping. So blood grouping பண்றது ரொம்ப சிம்பிளான ப்ராப்ளம். You need a kit of this. You take a clean glass slide, make a three circle வரும்போது first you need a lancet needle. Normally lancet needle இருக்கும், lancet needle click பண்ணி just wipe out the first drop of the blood வெளியில எடுத்துணும், because the first drop consists of dead cells. Second drop, third drop, fourth drop போடணும். போட்ட பிறகு immediately, because blood can get clotted, கொஞ்ச நேரத்துல நம்ம immediately you should add the separate சின்ன சின்ன இதுல இருக்கும், வயல் மாதிரி இருக்கும், அதுல இருந்து antibodies you should add with the capillary tube. You should mix it well, mix பண்ணி நல்லா அந்த டைல glass ல இத rotate பண்ணீங்கன்னா you could see the agglutination reaction. Agglutination அந்த பால் திரியிற மாதிரி ஒரு clump மாதிரி ஃபார்ம் ஆகும். அந்த clump வர வச்சு you can identify. இப்போ for example இந்த ரெண்டு வெல்ஸ்லயே வந்து உங்களுக்கு இந்த clump formation வந்துருச்சு அப்படினாக்கா then it is B positive. For example, மூணு வெளியிலுமே வந்து உங்களுக்கு எந்த விதமான ரியாக்ஷனுமே தெரியல, so you couldn't see any type of agglutination, then என்ன blood group இருக்கும், then it is O negative. O negative னா என்ன இருக்கணும், இங்க agglutination இல்ல, இங்க agglutination இல்ல, இங்க agglutination இல்ல, இந்த three wellsமே agglutination இல்ல அப்படினாக்கா then it is actually we call it as O negative. Agglutinations ன்றது என்னது, clump. இந்த clump ன்னு சொல்றோம் இல்லையா, the clump formation, திரிதல், இந்த திரிஞ்சு நிற்கும் அந்த மாதிரி. அந்த clump ஏன் வருதுன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா because of soluble antigen. உங்க RBC ல இருக்கிற இந்த ஆன்டிஜனும் நீங்க ஆட் பண்ற இந்த ஆன்டிபாடி, இதுல இருக்கு பாருங்க, இந்த ஆன்டிபாடி ரெண்டும் சேரும் போது agglutination நடக்கும். அது ஸ்பெசிபிக்கா இருந்துச்சுன்னா, இருக்கும்போது அதுதான் நம்ம கமர்ஷியலா என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னா clumping அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். The clumping is actually scientific நம்ம என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னா agglutination அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். So based on agglutination, ABO blood grouping procedure can be completed so that we can identify. நீங்க கேக்குற மாதிரி A1B positive, A1B1 positive, இதெல்லாம் எப்படின்னா திருப்பி இன்னொரு கிளாஸ் ஸ்லைட் எடுத்து அதுக்கு ஸ்பெசிபிக்கா anti subgroup solution இருக்கும், அந்த subgroup solution போட்டு we can identify the subgroups. சரியா? So this is about the ABO blood grouping. Next we are going to discuss about RH typing. RH typing or incompatibility. இது வந்து உங்க புக்ல இருக்கு ஆக்சுவலா. சோ RH incompatibility அப்படின்றது என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, எப்பவுமே incompatible அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்னா நாட் மேட்சிங். எது மேட்ச் ஆக மாட்டேங்குது அப்படின்னா உங்களோட ஆன்டிஜனும் ஆன்டிபாடியும் மேட்ச் ஆக மாட்டேங்குது. சோ அந்த கண்டிஷன் தான் we call it as an RH incompatibility. இதை நம்ம என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னா this cause ஏன் நம்ம இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் கொடுக்குறோம், RH incompatibility ஏன் இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் கொடுக்குறோம் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, this leads to condition called as that is hemolytic disease of newborn, that is erythroblastosis fetalis. Okay, clumping and agglutination both may same. Clumping வந்து நார்மலா நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ற வேர்டு, அது இன்னும் சயின்டிஃபிக்கா நல்ல கிளியரா யூஸ் பண்ணோம்னா நம்ம agglutination வேர்டு யூஸ் பண்ணணும். ஓகே, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ட்ராப் நம்ம ஏன் blood கலெக்ட் பண்ணும்போது எடுக்கிறது இல்லைன்னா, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ட்ராப்ல வந்து யூசுவலா டெட் செல்ஸ் இருக்கும். அந்த டெட் செல்ஸ் which can give the false positive results. அந்த false positive results இருக்கும்போது அதுல இப்போ டெட் செல்ஸ் நீங்க எதை சொல்றீங்க அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, clotting factor sometimes இருக்கும், clotting factor sometimes இருக்காது, precursor molecules இருக்கு, I mean thrombokinase வந்து ப்ராப்பரா இருக்கா. So it will not producing like proper precursor like factors produce பண்ண முடியாத செல்ஸ் தான் டெட் செல்ஸ் சொல்லுவோம். அந்த டெட் செல்ஸ் ரிமூவ் பண்றதுக்கு தான் நம்ம ப்ரொசீஜர் பண்ணும்போது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டிராப் ஆஃப் பிளட் வந்து ரிமூவ் பண்ணணும். ஸோ RH incompatibility, hemolytic disease of newborn, ஏன் இதுக்கு இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் கொடுக்குறோம் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, எரித்ரோபிளாஸ்டோசிஸ் ஃபீட்டாலிஸ் நீங்க கேள்விப்பட்டிருப்பீங்க. இது யூசுவலி எங்க நடக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, யூசுவலி கேஸ் ஆஃப் பிரெக்னென்ட் விமன். இப்போ பிரெக்னென்ட் விமன் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இந்த கண்டிஷன் எப்பவுமே எப்போ நடக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, மதர் வந்து RH நெகட்டிவா இருக்கிறாங்க, மதர். ஃபாதர் வந்து RH பாசிட்டிவ், ஃபாதர் இஸ் RH பாசிட்டிவ், மதர் இஸ் RH நெகட்டிவ். இந்த மாதிரி கண்டிஷன்ல தான் என்ன நடக்கும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, இந்த மாதிரி லைக் மிஸ்மேட்சிங், லைக் இன்கம்பேட்டபிலிட்டி அக்கர்ஸ். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஃபாதரும் வந்து RH நெகட்டிவ், மதரும் RH நெகட்டிவ், நோ ப்ராப்ளம் அட் ஆல். இப்போ இந்த மாதிரி கண்டிஷன்ஸ் இன்கம்பேட்டபிலிட்டினா அம்மாவும் அப்பாவும் என்ன, அப்பா வந்து எப்படி இருக்காருன்னா the male is RH positive, the female is what, female is RH negative, then this definitely which cause the condition called as called as incompatibility. நீங்க கேக்குறீங்க அந்த அக்ளூட்டினேஷன் மூணு வெல்ஸ்மே நடந்தா என்ன நடக்கும், அப்போ என்ன பிளட் குரூப்பிங் அப்பனா அது ஏபி பாசிட்டிவ் அர்த்தம். ஏன்னா மூணுமே ஏ சர்க்கிள்லயும் கிளம்ப் வந்திருக்கு, பிலயும் கிளம்ப் வந்திருக்கு, டிலயும் கிளம்ப் வந்திருக்கு ஏபியோட. அப்போ மூணுத்துலயுமே உங்களுக்கு அக்ளூட்டினேஷன் வந்துச்சுன்னா then definitely the person blood group is AB positive, right? HDNB அப்படின்றது என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா hemolytic disease of newborn. Hemolytic disease of newborn. Hemolytic அப்படினால என்ன அர்த்தம்னா லைசஸ்னா destruction of your RBC. குழந்தைகளுடைய நியூ பார்ன், குழந்தைகளோட ஃபீட்டல் ஸ்டேஜ்ல இருக்கிற அந்த குழந்தைகளுடைய RBC வந்து getting lysed. So that this condition is called as hemolytic disease of newborn. So இந்த கண்டிஷன் எதனால வருது, எதனால அந்த குழந்தைகளோட அந்த ஃபீட்டஸ்ல இருக்கிற குழந்தையோட RBC வந்து எப்படி always getting lysed because of incompatibility. இப்போ ஃாதர் வந்து RH positive, மதர் வந்து RH negative. These two are actually they're not match. இதுல ப்ராப்ளம் வந்து ஃாதருக்கும் மதருக்கும் கிடையாது. யாருக்கு ப்ராப்ளம் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா fetus. Now she is going to get conceived actually. This woman is going to get conceived. Now what happens, like you see this condition. This is like first pregnancy you talk, like this is the second pregnancy. This is the first pregnancy and this is the second pregnancy. So for example, you just assume there's a pregnant woman now. So this is the first one is a mom, the first pregnancy, and this is the fetus actually. This one is the fetus. This one is a fetus and this is mom. Okay, the first pregnancy. So இந்த கேஸ் நான் ஆல்ரெடி சொல்லியிருக்கேன், அம்மா வந்து என்னவா இருக்காங்க அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா மாம் இஸ் RH நெகட்டிவ் அப்படின்னு இருக்காங்க. பட் அப்பா என்னவா இருந்திருக்காரு, RH பாசிட்டிவா இருக்காரு. நான் ஆல்ரெடி சொல்லியிருக்கேன் ரீசஸ் RH, ரைட்டா? சோ இப்போ என்ன இருக்குன்னா குழந்தை வந்து ஏன்னா கண்டிப்பா குழந்தை என்னவா இருக்கும் RH, ஏன்னா அப்பா கிட்ட இருந்து வந்திருக்கிறது வந்து இந்த RH பாசிட்டிவ். சோ அம்மா RH நெகட்டிவ், fetus அம்மாக்கு வயித்துல இருக்க குழந்தைக்கு வந்து this is actually RH positive. So what happens, இது வந்து first pregnancy. Remember this is first pregnancy. I didn't touch anything about the second pregnancy now. So what happens in first pregnancy, she got conceived, and what happens, like the fetus being formed, the baby, the child is developing. And one more thing you should remember, this is a fetus. As long as this is in a fetus, this is in a mother's womb, we use a word called as fetus. This is not a child, right? When she delivered the baby, then only we use the word, for the first 6 months you use the word called as neonate. அப்ப கூட பேபி கிடையாது, ஒரு குழந்தை பிறந்து 6 மாசம் கழிச்ச பிறகு தான் we use a word called as baby or a child. The first 6 months we use a word called as neonate. Neonate அப்படின்னா என்ன கேட்டீங்கன்னா newborn. Newborn is called as neonate. For the first 6 months the child is actually we use a word called as neonate. And the குழந்தை வயித்துல இருக்கிற வரைக்கும் we use a word called as அது fetus தான். அது முன்னாடி ஸ்டேஜ்ல embryo வந்து fetus ஆ மாறும். So now this fetus is RH positive, right? இந்த RH positive இருக்கிற fetus, then the mom is RH negative. What is happening now? This child's fetus RBC is having something called as what? இதுல என்ன இருக்கு actually இப்போ மேடம் RH antigen இருக்கு. There's RH antigen which present, but அம்மாக்கு எது கிடையாது. அம்மாவுடைய bloodல அவங்களோட RBC என்ன கிடையாது, அந்த RH antigen கிடையாது. Because the reason is she is RH negative. RH negative, but fetus is RH positive. Yes, neonate means the first 6 months. First 6 months வந்து குழந்தைகளை வந்து neonate அப்படினா சொல்லுவோம், newborn. Okay, after 6 months only they are called as a child. Okay, fine. Next, so the fetus is like RH positive, the mom is RH negative. Now the fetus is completely like developing inside, and there is no connection, like there's only the way of connecting between the mom and the fetus is what actually like the umbilical cord, right? And this is covered by the placenta. The placenta which acts like a temporary endocrine gland which protects the fetus, right? So it's completely protected actually, like only the basic, the nutrients and blood circulation is happening inside. It's absolutely like the fetus is safe inside. So this is what actually like in the first pregnancy which is happening, right? So what is happening in the case of first pregnancy? Now she is about to protrude, but I mean delivery is going to occur. Means what? She's going to deliver the baby. When the fetus is going to deliver out of the mother, actually what happens, like these antigens, like when she deliver, what happens, the umbilical cord get ruptured, the placental wall get like withdrawn. So placenta வெளியில fully withdrawn or withered iodine, then the umbilical cord will get cut off. Then what happens, there are chance of like the RH antigens which can gain entry inside what, inside the mother's blood. Actually mother's blood la வந்து அப்பதான் first என்ன ஆகும், this RH antigens which get inside actually. So now what happens, the fetus is safe, the baby is safe, the baby like she came Yeah, she came outside. The fetus is safe now. But what is happening like in the mother உடம்புல என்ன நடக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, this she's RH negative. Now this is like the fetus RBC is having like RH positive, right? Now RH positive antigen வந்து இது யாருக்கு புதுசு அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா அம்மாக்கு புதுசு. So அம்மாவோட immune system what she will do is the immune system will start producing antibodies against what? Against this antigens. In the antigens against என்ன பண்ணும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா mother's immune system start producing antibody. For example, now mom's immune system is having for example the antibody. Now where this has been registered, நான் already சொல்லியிருக்கேன், B cells வந்து memory cells அப்படி இருக்கும். மெமரி செல்ஸ் வந்து ரெஜிஸ்டர்ட் பண்ணிருக்கும் ஆல்ரெடி. என்ன இந்த மாதிரி இந்த டேட்ல வந்து இந்த ஆன்டிபாடிஸ் உள்ள வந்துருக்கு, இந்த ஆன்டிஜன் RH ஆன்டிஜன்ஸ் வந்து பேபி கிட்ட இருந்து வந்திருக்கு. ஸோ மதர்ஸ் இம்யூன் சிஸ்டம்ல இருந்து டெஃபினட்டா என்ன ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணிருக்கும், இந்த ஆன்டிஜன்ஸ் தட் RH பாசிட்டிவ் ஆன்டிஜன்ஸ்க்கு அகைன்ஸ்ட் என்ன பண்ணிருக்கும், ஆன்டிபாடிஸ் ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணிருக்கும். ஃபைன். நவ the fetus, the baby is safe, right? But what happens in second pregnancy? First pregnancy la problem kariyad, but second pregnancy if the same woman like she is again conceived, the mom she's again seems to be like an RH. For example, she is like RH negative. She is RH negative. And again, what happens like the fetus, now the second pregnancy you see, the fetus is like RH positive. Now again, this is the fetus is RH positive. If என்ன நடக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, again what happens like the same condition, umbilical cord and the fetus is actually covered with what? The placenta cover ஆயிருக்கு. பட் என்ன ஆகும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பிரெக்னன்சில வந்து என்ன நடக்காது அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, the antibodies was not there. antibodies உள்ள இல்லாதனால பேபி வந்து சேஃபா இருக்கும். பட் இந்த செகண்ட் பிரெக்னன்சில என்ன நடக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, so then what happens, this will start, these antibodies like which all like produce, right? This will start producing producing antibodies. These antibodies will start crossing, especially what antibodies? This is IgG. This IgG is actually the antibody. Because why IgG? I told you there are 5 types of 5 different types of antibodies: IgG, IgM, IgA, D and E. Out of 5 immunoglobulin, there is only one immunoglobulin which has the ability to cross the placenta. So only IgG. So now what happens during the second pregnancy? This IgG antibody which cross the placenta, and this will go and bound with all the antigens, the fetal RBC, right? Antigens, and this will start destroying the RBC. This will start destroying the RBC. Fine. So now what happens? Like this will eventually destroy the entire RBC, the entire fetus, and then what happens? This will destroy the fetus itself. This occurs usually in case of second pregnancy. This condition only we call it as like hemolytic disease of newborn. Okay. Okay. Hemolytic disease of newborn. So these conditions that then how do we prevent this? Actually, this is prevented by means of rogam. This is prevented by means of rogam. This is anti-Ig. So anti-IgG can be given. So anti-IgG has been given. So if the anti-IgG எப்போ கொடுக்கணும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, immediately after the first pregnancy, what happened? Before the proliferation of அதாவது இந்த antibodies produce பண்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி we will be giving like the mother வந்து will be giving the pre-formed antibodies, the rogam and antibodies வந்து கொடுக்கும். The antibodies என்ன பண்ணுன்னா, this will destroy all the antigens from the fetus. So the second pregnancy where like the fetus can be saved. So this conditions where like the destruction of like the fetus is called as hemolytic disease of newborn. And this you should remember, this can happen with the incompatibility where the father is like RH positive and the mother is like RH negative. The condition which occurs, this is called hemolytic disease of newborn. Next we'll move on to the next part, right? Next part is IgG. Why the IgG is getting inside? Because IgG is only the antibody that can cross the placenta. Out of 5 immunoglobulin, why the immune system chosen the IgG? Because other 4 immunoglobulins which cannot cross the placenta, because the barrier which is there is actually which covering the fetus is placenta. Which immunoglobulin which cross the placenta is only the IgG. So you'll be waiting for the opportunity in the second pregnancy. So only the IgG which can cross the placenta. So through the IgG this can go inside and this will start acting against the fetal RBC. It seems to be an antigen, and so it destroys the fetal RBC. This leads to the elimination of the fetus. This condition is called as like hemolytic disease of newborn. This occurs when there is like non-matching of this RH between the father and the mother. If its condition is both or RH negative and negative, then this will not occur. This occurs only where there is an incompatibility, the RH incompatibility between the mother and the father. Okay. Next, we move on to the clotting mechanism. So, clotting mechanism. So as we discussed, before, the clotting mechanism is one of the important phenomena usually that happens. For example, there is an injury. If any injury in some way, like bleeding occurs, like in some prick or something like that, um, which is happening like an injury. So this injury is actually it start activating enzyme called as thrombokinase. Thrombokinase. This thrombokinase which converts the factors, that is like inactive factors, to a active factors. For that it requires the calcium. For that it requires calcium, right? So you ask like why IgG is not passed to the placenta, because there was no Ig itself, because the memory cells was not there. Because at the time of second pregnancy, after the first pregnancy only, the memory cells start identifying and the memory cells start producing IgG. Because the first pregnancy there was no preformed IgG, so there is no chance for IgG in the mother's bloodstream to get inside the placenta. Moreover, the placenta it's completely like protecting the fetus. So first pregnancy it's not possible. So inactive factors, these are the inactive factors, and this will convert to active factors. This is because of the calcium ions actually. So now what happens? These active factors which produce prothrombin. This produce prothrombin. So now what will do? What will happen to this prothrombin? The prothrombin which produce something called as thrombin. This produce thrombin. Now, for this also requires calcium. For this also requires calcium. Now, what the thrombin will do? The thrombin will convert fibrinogen into fibrin. So the thrombin which converts the fibrinogen into fibrin. What is the difference? The fibrinogen is a soluble substance, whereas a fibrin is insoluble. Fibrin is insoluble. Fine. So this actually like an outline like how the clotting mechanism is which is actually happening. If this for the what you require, the required main thing is like injury. So some like bleeding or something is happening, then this injury which leads to the production of the enzyme is called as thrombokinase. The thrombokinase which converts like inactive factors to the active factors, the presence of calcium ions. This active factors again beef up to prothrombin. This prothrombin bound with like calcium, this produces thrombin which converts fibrinogen into fibrin. Now this fibrin is the last end product, that is the insoluble matrix which is getting formed actually, right? So this getting formed, and this is responsible for clotting mechanism. Now the blood is getting clotted within like 45 seconds to like the maximum like within like 58 to 60, that is within a minute time the blood is getting clotted, right? If this clotting mechanism is not happening, like somewhere there's a problem with this mechanism. It means like some maybe like the hemophilia, the conditions like the bleeders disease that we call it, is like inherited diseases, right? Where the conditions, this possible mechanisms which will not happen, but usually like our blood is getting all this is getting clotted actually. I mean mechanisms of the blood is getting clotted. So this usually like the clotting mechanisms which is happening this. So this is about the clotting mechanism. So we're done with the blood, actually the components of the blood, the plasma, and we also discussed about the formed elements. Next we move on to the uh, human heart. So as far as the human heart is concerned, human heart, this part, right? So I'm not going to waste time by like drawing the diagrams like the human heart. As far as the human heart is concerned, like you would have studied like that this consists of so how to determine if the parent is Rh positive or Rh negative? See, usually how do you identify this Rh positive or Rh negative is like you usually do Rh typing. So along with the ABO blood grouping, it is compulsorily like the person I mean, the women also should go with the test scores like RH grouping. By means of RH grouping, they identify there's a, like H antigens, the presence or absence of H antigens, based on which we can identify whether she is RH positive or RH negative. So yes, of course, this is based on the presence of H antigen, right? So now we move on to the next part, that is the human heart. The human heart is actually, the weight of human heart is 300 to 350 grams actually. So this is 300 to 350 grams. So you ask me like father is RH negative and the mother is, that is again like it leads to conditions. So if mom is like an RH positive, then what happens like, then definitely fetus is RH negative, then there won't be any antigens, then this incompatibility will not occur. Nothing will happen. Okay. So this happens only if like, mom is RH negative and the fetus is RH positive. Okay. So human heart like 300 to 350 grams, it is like a heart. You would have studied about the structure of heart. The heart, which consists of two auricles and this four chambered structure, that is like two auricles and two ventricles. And the only thing that you should understand like the heart structure, the auricles like superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, then you understand like structures like how the only the difference is like pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein actually. So pulmonary artery here is for the deoxygenated blood, and the pulmonary vein is actually for oxygenated. So this is the only place where an exception that you could see, that you should remember always, the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. This pulmonary artery is for deoxygenated blood, whereas pulmonary vein, it is for the oxygenated blood. So this is the place where you could see an exception, but because we told already like arteries is for the oxygenated blood, but this is place like where you could see the difference exception, where you could see pulmonary artery is a deoxygenated blood and the pulmonary vein is actually like oxygenated blood. But simple diagrammatic representation that you want to make is also like, because I thought I don't want to waste your time, but so see the diagrammatic representation of the simple, the human heart when you make like, so when you make up the auricles like, when it's like right hand side, this is make it as a left auricle, and this one is a right auricle, and then this is the right ventricle, and this one is the left ventricle, right? So now what happens like, this is actually like covered by the layer. So what is actually the layer we call it as? We call it as pericardium. This is actually the pericardium, which covers the entire heart. So this is called as pericardium, right? So fine. So now what happens like, this is actually like the place where you could see the superior and inferior vena cava. This is the vena cava. This is superior, and then here you could see the inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava, and here this is atrial. This ventral septum. This is tricuspid. This is tricuspid, and here you could see this is bicuspid. Bicuspid. Back. So this is what happens like, here the deoxygenated blood which comes inside. Here also again what happens, the deoxygenated which is coming inside. So the deoxygenated is coming to the right auricles, and then it is going to the ventricles actually. So this is going to the ventricles. Now what happens from here, like, how the deoxygenated blood is going out is because of, this is actually pulmonary artery. This is pulmonary artery. So this is the place where like, the deoxygenated blood which is going out actually. And what is happening this side actually, like, through this, here you could see the pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein. Through this, what's happening, like, there you could see like, oxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood is coming inside. So the blood which comes here, and from the ventricle, what happens through the aorta. So this is by means of aorta. What is happening, like oxygenated blood is going out actually. So that you should understand here is an exception where you could see the pulmonary vein. This is for the oxygenated blood, and this is actually like you could see the deoxygenated blood. The superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Superior vena cava is for the upper side of the body. This is for the upper from the edge side, from the edge, right, the upper side, and inferior vena cava from the lower limbs, like this will be collecting all the deoxygenated blood, and this will be transfer to the heart. So this is how like the blood will be like pumped up, and this bicuspid and tricuspid valve. And here you could see something called as like the opening that you could see, the small hole-like structure that you could see. This we call, because in the embryonic development itself there is a small hole-like structure. This is called as foramen ovale. Foramen ovale. This foramen ovale is actually, this is slight opening, and later part, like after like the birth also, this small opening will get closed. This we call it as actually, we call it as actually like the whole formation, right? But the heart is having a hole or something like this. This is nothing but the foramen ovale. So this small like flip kind of thing, it will be closed actually. But sometimes like this will remain open, right? This actually we call it as foramen ovale, and the small like opening that you could see in the heart, and later part like after like birth, like in this automatically it will be closed actually. So this is how the structure of the human heart. Next, we have something called as coronary sinus. We have coronary sinus. So what is actually the coronary sinus? The coronary sinus which bring all the actually like deoxygenated blood. So even the blood, the heart have the walls, right? The heart, the walls do have the actually deoxygenated blood. So all the deoxygenated blood can be collected, which can be collected, and by means of this coronary sinus, who is collecting all the deoxygenated blood from the walls of the heart. This is getting collected by means of this coronary sinus, the coronary sinus, which collects the deoxygenated blood from the walls of the heart actually. So if you ask me, like Bombay blood group, it contains both antigens and antibody. They do have like its own antigens, like H antigens, and talking about D antigens, it's having both H antigens and antibodies of its own. Okay. Next, we move on to the working of the heart. We have two types of working actually of heart. We have systemic. We have systemic and we have pulmonary. We have systemic and pulmonary. Okay. So systemic and pulmonary. So you ask me like the absence of A, B, and Rh antigen will be O negative. Then the presence of these three antigens will be. So if all the antigens are present, then AB positive. The person is AB positive. All the three antigens are present. If none of these antigens present on the RBC, then it is called as O negative. Right? Systemic circulation. Systemic circulation is actually, what is it called? To and fro. So to and fro from body parts. Body parts. Pulmonary circulation is to and fro from lungs. To and fro from the lungs actually. So by these mechanism, like the working of heart, the two types of circulation. Perhaps we call either one every one systemic circulation, right? One is the systemic circulation, other one is the pulmonary circulation, right? So next we move on to the double. See, the double circulation. So what is the double circulation? Double circulation means, so when we talk about double circulation, which is happening somewhere between the lungs and the heart. So both are playing important role, the lungs and the heart. The lungs, where you could see the pulmonary vein which is carrying the oxygenated blood, and this move on to the capillaries, and it is deoxygenated. It is again like a deoxygenated because the capillaries which will be absorbing, right? Then what happens? This will be giving out the carbon dioxide, takes up the oxygen, and will be taking up like carbon dioxide. Then what happens? The deoxygenated blood will be taking out through the pulmonary artery. This will be taken up by pulmonary artery, and this is again going back to the heart. So what happens, like the lungs and the heart, right? How the blood is getting pumping out, like how it is, like it is keeping on, like distributed, like how the oxygenated blood is going to the tissues, where through the capillaries, where it taking up the oxygen and giving out So what happens in the capillaries? We're taking up the oxygen. We're taking up the oxygen and it's giving out the carbon dioxide. So the means what happens like this is again it going out like pulmonary artery. Again it's going to the heart, and from this again the double circulation which is going to occur, right? So this is about the double circulation. When you come to the next part is actually like cardiac cycle. Cardiac cycle. As far as the cardiac cycle is concerned, we should remember only like the systolic and diastolic actually. So when you talk about the systolic and diastolic, right? So you make out like the timings like as far as the cardiac cycle is concerned. So we have systole. This is like systole, and this is for example you take auricular systole, and then we have ventricular systole. And this place is actually we call it as a joint diastole. So the entire cardiac cycle, one cardiac cycle you take is actually like this is take actually like 1 second, like which is less than 1 seconds, which is less than 1 seconds. For example, this auricular systole it takes like 0.1 second, and this takes 0.3 second, and the joint diastole you take this takes 0.4 seconds. So you take the complete the cycle, the cardiac cycle, which takes like see 3, 4, and like this one like it's less than a 1 second. The entire one cycle, the entire one cycle which takes is less than like 1.1 seconds. The one auricular systole, the ventricular systole is 0.3 seconds. The joint diastole is actually like the 0.4 seconds actually, right? So now what happens like it produces a lub sound and dub sound. So what is actually the time duration for the lub sound and the dub sound? The lub sound is actually like for 0.14 second, and dub sound is like 0.11 second. So what is the reason behind the lub sound and dub sound? Why the sound comes like from where the sound comes, the lub sound and dub sound? I told you like the tricuspid valve and bicuspid valve. So the lub sound is 0.14 second. This is because of the closure of the lub, that is like tricuspid. This lub sound is because of the closure of tricuspid and bicuspid valve. Because of the closure of the bicuspid and tricuspid valve, because when this getting into from auricles to ventricles, you have seen like two valves on both the sides, like auricles and ventricles, like tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve, right? So these valves actually like which close actually when the auricles from there the blood get enter inside the ventricles. What happens like this closes actually immediately the valve because of the it prevents the backflowing of the blood. So that sound is actually like it's identified as a lub sound. So the duration of the lub sound is 0.14 second, and dub sound is actually it's because of from what happens ventricle. This will go to the aorta, right? This go to the aorta. Then what happens? This consists of semilunar valve. This is because of closure of semilunar valve. Semilunar valve. So due to the closure of the semilunar valve, we have this dub sound. The duration for the lub sound is actually like 0.11 second. So the lub sound and dub sound, the duration that you should remember 0.14 seconds and 0.11 second is actually 0.11. So the total the cardiac cycle auricular systems like you take the 0.1 second. Then if you ask the questions like total the systole comes only like 0.4 seconds actually. So joint diastole you take it's a 0.4 seconds, which is actually like this is actually like 0.1. So total the cardiac cycle which will be taking place in just the 1 second actually. So that you should remember. Then if we're talking about the blood pressure, so how we can calculate the blood pressure? So the blood pressure is usually calculated by means of arterial blood pressure. Arterial blood pressure. This arterial blood pressure is of two, one is systolic pressure, the other one is diastolic. Systolic pressure and diastolic pressure. Systolic means it's the contraction. So systolic is actually like contraction Diastolic is actually the relaxation, and this is actually systolic is actually like contraction. So this the duration of the contraction is like 120 mm per mercury, and relaxation you could see like 80 mm per mercury. So the normal blood pressure that you could see is like 120 bar 80 mm per H. So this is actually systolic. Systolic is actually 120. So 120 mm per Hg, and then like 80 mm per Hg. This is actually like systolic and like diastolic pressure. So the total like the BP that you see, the normal BP, the range which falls between like 120 and 80. So this is usual question, like they ask what is the normal range. Sometimes like an hypertension that you could see. In hypertension, this can even like be for like to 140, right? So 140, then again this condition is called as like hypertension. So systolic is like 120 and the diastolic is like 80 mm. So this is what actually the blood pressure usually which can be calculated. So what is this for blood pressure? Then what is actually the pulse pressure? Pulse pressure means there is something, the difference between these actually systolic and diastolic pressure. So how we calculate the pulse pressure? The blood pressure is, the systolic is 120 and diastolic is like 80 mm per Hg, right? But if you want to take like the pulse pressure, the difference between, so the difference between this actually like you take 120 minus you take 80. This will give actually the 40. So this 40 will be your pulse pressure. So this will be your pulse pressure. So from the this thing that you take is actually blood pressure, that is 120 by 80. From that you can have the difference between the systolic and the diastolic pressure, right? This is actually like we have like 40. The 40 will be is actually your pulse pressure, right? So how we can measure this actually? This can be measured by means of sphygmomanometer, the device which is used to identify the blood pressure. You can take the readings by means of this. Usually you would have seen like blood pressure apparatus, right? The blood pressure apparatus is, you could see like sphygmomanometer. So you take sphygmomanometer. So sphygmomanometer is actually like device actually. So how it things actually like which pumps actually like this is for 70 to 72 beats per minute. Okay, that will be discussing in conduction of the heartbeat, right? So the sphygmomanometer is actually like the device that you will be using to identify the blood pressure, and this was first reported by Nikolai Korokov. Is actually the person who's first found or reported this actually the blood pressure, the apparatus like using the sphygmomanometer. This was first found by or identified by Korotkov. Fine. So along with this, we have something called as ECG. So what is the significance of ECG? See, ECG is nothing but it's a graphical representation. It is a graphical record of electric variation. Electric variation. How this electric variation is produced? Electric variation is produced by means of like when the beating occurs, right? When the normal beating of the heart occurs, it leads to the electrical variation. This electrical variation can be recorded or registered by means of the graphical manner, right? So the graphical representation which can be registered by means of ECG, electrocardiograph, right? This graphical representation. So when we talk, this ECG was first identified by Eindhoven. In the year 1903, he is the first person. But the blood pressure, this mechanism using the sphygmomanometer was first found by Nikolai Korotkov. Nikolai Korotkov first found the sphygmomanometer, this apparatus, and then the ECG was first found by the Eindhoven by using the device called as oscilloscope. Using the device called as oscilloscope. So when you see the one particular wave that you take, for example, for ECG, you could see, the typical, the normal, the wave that you can get is like this, right? In which you could see the ECG wave. This is actually P, and then you could see Q, and this is R, and this is S, and this one is a T. And this, it is like in Q and C, this is going like, Down, this is actually, we call it as a negative. This is actually negative, and P is a positive wave, R is also a positive wave, and T is also the positive wave actually. So what is the significance of this P, Q, R, S, T? So what is actually the இதோட significance என்ன அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, P இருக்கு, Q, R, S, T அப்படின்னா, I told already like systole and diastole, ஒரு heart beat இருக்குன்னா ஒரு beat வரும்போது that is contracting and relaxing. So it's like systolic means contraction, relaxing is again like pumping out. So contraction and relaxation. So this contraction relaxation எப்படி the graphical representation will not be எடுக்கும்போது this will giving the actual the electric variation. இந்த electric variation தான் எப்படி உங்களுக்கு register ஆகும், graph register ஆகும்னா P Q R S, then it comes to the T, right? So the P Q R S T wave which will be coming now. So the P wave or significance. What is the significance of P wave? P wave is because of P wave. This P wave is because of atrial depolarization. Atrial depolarization. This is because of atrial depolarization. In the QRS, the Q is this is because the QRS என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்க, this is because of ventricular depolarization. Ventricular. This is the ventricular depolarization. Ventricular depolarization. And T is actually like relaxation of what? Relaxation of ventricles. திருப்பி ventricles வந்து relax ஆகும்போது this will come ventricles. So ஒரு ECG நீங்க எடுத்துட்டீங்க அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, you could see this actually like atrial depolarization. This is actually the significance. Significance sometimes கேட்பாங்க P wave ஓட significance என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா, this is atrial depolarization. Then Q and S is actually like ventricular depolarization, right? Then T wave. T wave is actually like it's because of the relaxation of the ventricles actually. So the normal blood pressure would range 80 120, 80 and 120. That is systolic and diastolic pressure. In the range 140 மேல increase ஆகும்போது that condition we call it as an hypertension. So hypertension வந்து இந்த range normal range அதாவது 80 120 rangeல இருந்து இன்னும் அதிகமா போகும்போது that condition we call it as an hypertension. But normal ECG வந்து ரெண்டு negative waves, இதுல வந்து the graphical representation வச்சு இந்த QRS wave, then we have something called as atrial waves. இதை பேஸ் பண்ணி we can identify is there any abnormality, but ECG வச்சு we cannot confirm ஒருத்தங்களுக்கு ஹார்ட்ல ஏதோ ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்கு அப்படின்னா ECG will not be actually a confirmatory. Preliminary they can identify actually the person might be having some problem, like based on that then they'll be asking for CT scans, like scan எடுத்த பிறகு then what happens, like they can, doctors like can identify very well. But this gives the preliminary idea that ECG tells like because of atrial depolarization and ventricle depolarization, is there any particular like reasons where like the malfunctions of the heart can be easily identified. So now the last part of this, like body fluids and circulation, we'll discuss about disorders. When we talk about the disorders, the first disorder when we talk about is hypertension. When we talk about hypertension, as I already told you, the normal the normal blood pressure BP or the range 120 80 இருக்கும், the normal range actually, right? So in the range வந்து என்ன ஆகும்னா it will be like fluctuated and it will be increased, and sometimes it will be going to 140 90 in the range it will be like increased and for a long span of time. So increase ஆகும்போது this condition is actually we call it as a hypertension. So blood pressure வந்து ஒரு point of time ரொம்ப நாள் அதே conditions நீடிச்சே இருந்ததுன்னா this is actually hypertension. Mostly like hypertension reasons என்னவா இருக்கும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா obesity. The reason is like obesity or like you take as overweight. These are the main reasons. That is the reason like why we are diet conscious and why we are suggested to take the food properly. So to prevent obesity and overweight, most of the cases like hypertension like around like 72 to 74%, where the most of the hypertension individuals are obese actually. சரிங்களா? So கொஞ்சம் பருமனா இருக்கிறவங்க இல்லனா வந்து ரொம்ப கொஞ்சம் weight அதிகமா இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு வந்து ஹைப்பர்டென்ஷன், அதாவது ரத்த கொதிப்பு அதிகம் வரதுக்கு சான்சஸ் வந்து அதிகமா இருக்கு. Okay, next is CAD. CAD is coronary arterial disease. Coronary arterial disease. Coronary artery disease means what? இது எப்போ நடக்கும் இந்த CAD ன்றது என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா affects the vessels, blood vessels which supply the blood vessels which supply blood to the heart. இருதயத்துக்கு போகக்கூடிய blood vessels உடைய அந்த vesselsல வந்து ஏதாவது சேதம் ஏதாவது பாதிப்பு ஏற்பட்டுச்சுன்னா this leads to a condition called as coronary arterial disease, especially this condition where there will be a damage or the vessels of the heart, actually the blood vessels of the heart which is conducting like which is carrying the blood to the heart, which is getting affected. This condition is called as coronary arterial disease. Then we have something called as angina. So what is angina? The angina is a condition where you could see supply to the oxygen. So because of supply of oxygen to heart is interrupted, in the supply oxygen supply to the heart is getting interrupted. So this condition is called as angina. Angina is a condition where due to the what happens the supply of the oxygen, because the heart requires an oxygenated blood உள்ள போறதுக்கு கூடிய வாய்ப்புகள் ரொம்ப கம்மியாகும் பொழுது then what happens, this leads to a condition called as angina, right? The next one is myocardial infarction. Myocardial, usually நம்ம சொல்வோம் வந்து heart attack னு சொல்லுவோம் இல்லையா, the infarction. Heart attack is a normal, the common term that we use, but scientifically this we call it as a myocardial infarction. Infarction, R wave கேட்டிருக்கீங்க ECG ல R wave. This R wave is actually for the ventricular repolarization. Ventricular repolarization is for the R wave. Fine. Myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction is nothing but the heart attacks, the usual common term that we call it as a heart attacks, a myocardial infarction. This is a clot in the coronary arteries. This is actually we call it as a clot, where in a coronary arteries. This coronary arteries where you could see the heart blocks இருக்குன்னு சொல்றாங்க, heart attack வந்திருக்குன்னு. அத நம்ம என்ன சொல்றோம்னா myocardial infarction அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம். இது இல்லாம இது நார்மலா இல்லாம there are certain diseases like which can even caused by some microorganisms. For example, you take as RHD. RHD ன்றது என்னன்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா rheumatic heart disease. RHD, rheumatic heart disease. Expansion, rheumatic heart disease. Rheumatic heart disease. The rheumatic heart disease usually எப்படி காஸ் ஆகும் கேட்டீங்கன்னா because of certain group of bacteria like streptococci. This streptococci even have the ability, right? So ability where like streptococcus pyogenes into the particular bacteria, right? In the particular bacteria, or you take Coxsackie virus, CKIE, Coxsackie virus. This Coxsackie virus, Coxsackie B virus, the Coxsackie virus and the streptococci, even this also leads to the conditions where it's called rheumatic heart disease, right? Infarction அப்படின்றது வந்து we call it as a block, because for example infarction நடக்கும்போது என்ன நடக்கும் கேட்டீங்கன்னா, this is for example you take the blood vessels, here the blood is getting passing actually. So what is happening, the infarction நடக்கும்போது due to this, because of the cholesterol level increases, what happens this leads to the clump formation. The infarctions மாதிரி நடக்கும். So it will be again ரொம்ப narrow up. So this is actually the blood supply is happening. Then what happens, the pressure which keep on pumping, this is due to the clot which is happening inside, then the pressure of the blood is also keep varying, the blood supply will be interrupted. So this type of blockages which is happening, the reason we call it as infarction. Infarction is that myocardial infarction where that you could see the kind of clot formation which occurs, which alters the blood pressure, and also what happens, the blood pressure which can be which will be slightly varied and leads to the clot formation. The clot is not getting removed, and then what will happen, this has to be removed. So you ask me heart attack and heart failure. Heart attack is something which is happening in one particular vessel. That is actually we call it as a heart attack. Heart failure is something the complete heart itself, but there's a difference. Heart attack means not the complete failure of the heart, only the part of the human heart, the part of the blood vessel, the particular coronary, the vessels that is getting damaged, that can be even easily by means of rectified. But Heart failure is like when the heart failed to pump it properly, when the blood pumping is not happening properly, like then definitely like it leads to transplantation itself. Then there's a difference between there's a myocardial infarction and the heart failure, right? And the name of the virus you asked me. So the name of the virus is Coxsackie B virus. So this is a virus, mainly the Coxsackie B virus and the bacteria. This is the virus and this is the bacteria. Streptococci is a bacteria. This bacteria Coxsackie is C-O-X-S-A-C-K-I-E. I'll write it again. Coxsackie B virus. So this Coxsackie B virus and this Coxsackie B virus and Streptococcus bacteria, like these two, the organisms, like the microorganism, which is responsible in even causing like the rheumatic heart diseases. And ventricular repolarization asked me, like, what is ventricular repolarization? When the heart, like the ventricles blood is getting filled up, then what happens? Like the blood is again getting pumped out to the semilunar valves, to the pulmonary artery and the aorta. Then what happens? Like in the ventricles will be emptied actually. So this it coming back to its own form. This is called as ventricular repolarization. So ventricular repolarization means the ventricles where the blood is getting like emptied off, it's sent to like the aorta and the pulmonary artery, right, to the semilunar valve. Now there's no more blood in the ventricles; it's emptied off. This is called as it's coming back to its form, right? So it's called as ventricular repolarization, right? Cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest is more like the myocardial infections, like the normal blood supply. This is what actually like cardiac arrest. Somewhere the normal condition, the normal supply of the blood is somewhere is getting like arrested, somewhere it is getting blocked, right? The normal functioning is not happening, right? That is actually called as cardiac arrest. That this condition, if it is like acute, if it's like very in the beginning stage, it's fine. If it is like chronic, then it like it will be very difficult, and it will need to be like, and the surgery has to be done immediate, like medical attention has to be done. Okay, okay. So this is about like the disorders, about like the thing. So hereby we completed the first part that is actually body fluids and circulation. So far, what are the things that we discussed in body fluids and circulation? So you asked me like can we say it is like heart stop beating? So it doesn't mean like the heart stops beating. It means for example 70 to 72 beats per minute. Then rhythm of the heart. So I forget to tell you something like the rhythm of the heart, the conduction of the heartbeat. There are three main things actually. One is like SA node here, that is sinoatrial node. The other is atrioventricular node. The other one is a this bundle of is actually. These three things which plays a very important role in conduction of the heart. So SA node, that is sinoatrial node, which is actually we call it as natural pacemaker. So I just complete that part also. As far as the heart is concerned, like the heart, which is not, there are two factors, like one is intrinsic factor, other one is extrinsic factor. The conduction of the heart is actually how the heart is actually the beating, right? The heart beats is actually happening by means of the natural pacemaker. The natural pacemaker that we call it as SA node. SA stands for sinoatrial node. This sinoatrial node is responsible for the natural heartbeat, which conducts the beat actually. And this impulse which will be generated and passed to the AV node, that is atrioventricular node. And from the atrioventricular node, this impulse is again like which will be like the conduction of the heart, which get transferred to the bundle of is, and from the bundle of is it's shared to the Purkinje fibers, and from the Purkinje fibers the rhythm. So how the heart like pumps like 70 to 72 minutes per minute, how the beating which is occur is actually so you ask me like what is the use of the pacemaker? If the pacemaker is not there, then definitely the heart cannot pump properly. So how is the heart is pumping? You won't believe like when the first heartbeat, which is begin, right, is when you are in mother's womb, the fetal stage, like when you are in the fetal stage, from the fetal stage itself, the first heartbeat started actually begin. So until right, as long as you're living in this world, like as when even you sleep, also the heart will not sleep. Which is continuously, it's actually beating actually. So this is because like the pacemaker is a sinoatrial node, and if the SA node fails, you can ask me like if the natural pacemaker SA node fails, then that is a condition like the cardiologist suggests the patient to go for artificial pacemaker. So to replace a natural pacemaker, the artificial pacemaker can be replaced. So the conduction of heartbeat. So the main function of the why the pacemaker is for the rhythm. So you take the pulse rate, like how the heart beats, like love dubs on the cardiac cycle, the pumping of heart, like everything is it's maintained because of the working of the pacemaker. If this pacemaker somewhere it fails, the sinoatrial node fails, then definitely it leads to a severe issue. Then if the problem continues, the clinical manifestation conditions continues, then the person, the patient is advised to go for artificial pacemaker, right? So this is how actually like the disorders. And before you go for the conduction of the heartbeat, right, I take the rhythm control also, the last stage. So we talk about rhythm control. When we talk about the rhythm control, I told you like SA node, then we have atrioventricular node, then the third one is bundle of His. The third one is bundle of His. So these three are intrinsic factors. So all the three we call it as intrinsic factors. So you can ask me like, is it only intrinsic factors which plays in the rhythm or conduction of the heartbeat, right? No, there are some extrinsic factors also, but it playing a indirect role, not direct, but naturally intrinsic factor which is already inside, right? Is because of three. These are the intrinsic factors: the sinoatrial node, atrioventricular node, bundle of His, all these things which is placing actually like when this sinoatrial node is in the rest potential. So if it is the rest potential, then it is like between minus 55. It is minus 55 to minus 60 millivolts actually. This is what actually the electrical potential, the rhythm. So when it starts, for example, when you talk with the heart, actually when you talk the structure of the heartbeat, so this is where you could see the sinoatrial node. From this is what actually I'm talking about, SA node, right? From this SA node, this impulses which will be transferred to the atrioventricular node. This is actually we call it as AV node. From the AV node, we have something called, this is actually like we call it as bundle of His. This is bundle of His. So when the SA node actually when it is in a resting potential, right? This is like minus 55 to minus 60. This is what actually like the millivolts it produces. Then what happens? This spread this conduct the electrical potential to atrioventricular node. From the atrioventricular node, what happens like this is actually like minus 55 to 65. This is actually which is acting like a natural pacemaker. This is naturally with the pacemaker which is happening here. And from here, like how it is actually like the speed like potential that you could see is actually like 1.5 to 4 meters per second. 1. From SA node, the speed like how the impulse like which is getting conducted from SA node to the AV node, it is like 1.5 to 4 meters per second. The impulse like which is getting transferred is getting conducted, and now what happens? This is will be continued with the bundle of His. From the bundle of His, this will be going to the fibers actually. This fibers is called as Purkinje fibers. This is called as Purkinje fibers. So this is what actually like the conduction of the heartbeat occurs. But this all the three SA node, AV node, and then you take the bundle of His. All the three is already like is called as what is it called like the intrinsic factors. But there are other factors also like we call it as extrinsic factors. Extrinsic factors indirectly this also support your heart to have this rhythm, to have this like control. So this is because of one thing is like in the brain we call it as medulla oblongata. So the medulla oblongata, this is an extrinsic factor, and the hormone adrenaline, then acetylcholine, then epinephrine and norepinephrine. Epinephrine and norepinephrine, right? So, SA stands for sinoatrial node. AV stands for atrial ventricular node. So, These are the intrinsic factors which is already there inside, right? Now we could see the extrinsic factors. Apart from this, like your medulla oblongata, the brain, the medulla oblongata, your adrenal secretion, your adrenaline, then the acetylcholine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. So this epinephrine and norepinephrine, which also, for example, epinephrine is actually like this is a substance which increase your heartbeat. Sometimes your heartbeat, if you are in a kind of like an anger or like some type of like severe emotions, like your heartbeat start increasing, or your a fear, or like something like your heartbeat increases. This is because of the epinephrine. After some time, like it come back to its normal phase, the heart beats continuously, coming back to the normal phase. This is because of the norepinephrine. So both are antagonistic to each other, epinephrine and norepinephrine. So epinephrine, if condition requires, if this increases the heartbeat, again this will come back to its normal from 70 to 72 beats per minute, like this coming back to its own form, right? This is because of norepinephrine, right? So epinephrine and norepinephrine, adrenaline, medulla oblongata, these are all extrinsic factors. Fine. So rhythmic control, both intrinsic factors and extrinsic factors. By this, we are completing the first part of the human physiology, that is body fluids and circulations. We have completed. So the first human physiology, like what are the areas that we covered in the human, that is the body fluids and circulation. First, we discussed about the functions. Actually, we discussed the functions. What are the main functions of the body fluids and circulation? We have the transport of intermediate metabolites, transport, I mean elimination of the nitrogenous waste and everything. And we discussed about cardiovascular system. In the cardiovascular system, நம்ம பார்த்தது heart பத்தி பார்த்தோம். Then blood vessels வந்து arteries, veins and capillaries that we discussed. And we discussed about the blood. Blood consists of two forms, that is the plasma and formed elements. Plasma பத்தி general features and descriptions we discussed, and we differentiated the plasma and the serum. And we discussed about the formed elements. So formed elements, we discussed about like erythrocytes, leukocytes, and we discussed about like platelets. So how we differentiate erythrocytes and leukocytes, general features about erythrocytes and leukocytes, that everything that we discussed. And the capillaries which plays a very important role in exchange of gaseous substances and also the nutrients to the tissues, that also we discussed. Okay. Then we discussed about and one more thing, the cardiovascular pathway, the two pathways, human beings, higher vertebrates, closed circulatory system, but other the leech, the normal insects, இந்த மாதிரி சில இடத்துல தான் பாத்தீங்கன்னா it's a open circulation. அங்க we have something called as sinus. இங்க நம்மளுக்கு இருக்கிற மாதிரி arteries, veins, the capillaries, இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு system வந்து open circulationல கிடையாது. Open circulations, where you could see, is actually like the organs will be bathing inside the sinus like structure, right? So this is what actually the difference between the open circulation and closed circulation. Open circulation, for example, mollusk எடுத்துக்கங்க, annelids எடுத்துக்கங்க, you take a leech and you take like insects, all these things which comes under open circulation. Closed circulation வந்து higher vertebrates எல்லாமே closed circulationல வரும். Then we discuss about the blood. So when something the questions ask like what is the pH of the blood? So pH of the blood என்னன்னு கேட்டிங்கன்னா, what is the pH of the blood? So pH of the blood is 7.4. 7.4 is the pH of the blood. And viscosity, sometimes they ask like viscosity of the blood. Viscosity வந்து அப்படியே reverse, 4.7. 4.7 is the viscosity of the blood actually. Gravity of the blood அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 1.057. So 1.057, right? This is actually the gravity. So pH வந்து 7.4, gravity வந்து 4.7, viscosity வந்து 4.7, and the gravity that you could see 1.057. So we discussed about the blood grouping. And the blood grouping la வந்து ABO blood grouping we discussed. Then we discussed about RH incompatibility. Then we discussed about the mechanism like clotting of the blood, how the clotting mechanism is actually it takes place, and discuss about the structure and function of the heart. Adla mainly we discuss about the pulmonary artery and the pulmonary vein. The exceptions were pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein that we discussed, because pulmonary artery is for the deoxygenated blood and pulmonary vein is for the oxygenated. But usually vein வந்து deoxygenated. இங்க ஆர்டர் பொறுத்து இருக்கும். Pulmonary vein வந்து oxygenated, pulmonary arteries வந்து deoxygenated. This is only the exception that you could see, right? And we discussed about the working of the heart. Two types of working. One is you could see that is like systemic circulation. Other one is the pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary circulation வந்து lungsல இருந்து ஹார்ட்டுக்கு போகுது. Systemic circulation வந்து to and fro from the body actually. That we discussed like superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, how the blood is deoxygenated blood is coming inside the heart. That we discussed. And then we discussed about double circulation. Of course, the double circulation means something is between the heart and the lungs actually, right? So we discussed about cardiac cycle. Especially the cardiac cycle வந்து நம்ம you need to know about the timings actually. Arterial systole, arterial ventral systole and the joint diastole. Other timings மூணுத்துமே சேர்த்து நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா it less than 1 second it comes. And the lub sound and the dub sound. Lub sound is because of the closure of tricuspid and bicuspid valve, and dub sound is because of the closure of semilunar valve. And the duration வந்து I hope you remember actually, so that also you should remember. Then at last we discussed the blood pressure, arterial blood pressure, the systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure. Systolic, and that is 120/80 is a normal blood pressure. If it's going beyond that range, like 140 or 90 is something which goes like this, because this condition called as hypertension. And ECG that we discussed, P waves, the QRS and the T waves, is because of the repolarization and depolarization of the, this is the graphical representation when the heartbeat occurs, when the electrical signals which get passed inside. Then we discussed about the disorders like hypertension, CAD, angina, and myocardial infections, then rheumatic heart disease. So these things that we discussed actually. I think we can close as of now. Maybe tomorrow we'll start with the next chapter, that is breathing and exchange of gases actually. That is like, it's a very small chapter in human physiology. As far as human physiology is concerned, the most important chapters, of course, all the 7 chapters are important in human physiology. You can give priority to blood, that is body fluids and circulation, locomotion and movement. Then we have the hormones, and a little bit of digestive system, and there are very little bit of like the respiratory gases, for example, like a tidal volume. That all this concept that you should understand, right? Hopefully, we'll start tomorrow. Possibly, we try to complete both the digestive system as well as the respiratory system under human physiology. And thanks for joining with me, all of you, and have safe and be sound at home itself. Have good preparation at home. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
And doubts in the last 15 minutes in between.
And humble suggestions for you guys, like you join online. If you have any doubts or you have any comments that you want to post right now, we'll be scheduling, allotting you the last 15 minutes for you. The last 15 minutes is exclusively allotted for you guys to post your comments. And if you have any doubts or anything, right, that you can share with me. I'm very happy to clarify those doubts to you. And in between, if you post a comments like teaching as well as like clarifying your comments, like both the tasks which cannot be like completely fulfilled. So I requested you, I request you guys like post any of your comments if you want any feedbacks or you want any doubts or a clarification that you have, like every day that after the once the schedule is about to close, the last 15 minutes is allotted for you for the clarification of your doubts. So please don't hesitate to post your comments as well as your feedbacks, and also if you have any doubts, you please raise to us. I'm happy to help you out. And thank you for joining with us today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm happy to clarify doubts as well. Right? Thank you so much. And we'll be updating the timing, the tomorrow session timing very shortly. That will be reaching to you. So you don't need to worry about the timing. So we'll update you, and that will come to your place as well. So please stay tuned. Thank you.
இதுல வந்து சாரோட நம்பர் இருக்குல்ல, இந்த நம்பர் சொல்லி உங்களுக்கு டவுட்ஸ் இருந்தா இந்த வாட்ஸ்அப் குரூப் வந்து இந்த இந்த நம்பர்ல ஒரு குரூப் இருக்கு. இந்த நம்பருக்கு உங்களோட ஒரு சென்ட் ஒரு ஹாய் மெசேஜ் அனுப்பிச்சிங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு வந்து நம்ம ஒரு வாட்ஸ்அப் குரூப் மெயின்டைன் பண்ணலாம். அதுல வந்து உங்களுக்கு கொஸ்டின் பேப்பர்லாம் நாங்கள் ஷேர் பண்ணுவோம். அதுக்கான கீஸும் அந்த குரூப்லேயே ஷேர் பண்ணுவோம். நீங்க அதுக்கேற்றப்ப அப்டேட்டடா இருக்கலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லியிருக்கேன். அந்த 9176 அந்த நம்பர் இருக்குல்ல, அந்த நம்பர்ல வாட்ஸ்அப் அவைலபிலிட்டி இருக்கு. அதுக்கு நீங்க ப்ரிப்பேர்டா இருக்கீங்க.
நான் சொன்ன கரெக்டாக சொல்லுங்க.
ஆன்லைன்ல இப்போ கிளாஸஸ் போயிட்டு இருக்கு பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்களா? இப்போ நம்ம வந்து இது ஒரு ஒரு குரூப் ஒன்று கிரியேட் பண்ணலாம், வாட்ஸ்அப் குரூப்பு. அந்த குரூப்ல
குட் ஈவினிங் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ். எப்படி இருந்தது கிளாஸு? காலையில் கொஞ்சம் ஒரு மாதிரி இருந்திருக்கும், இப்போது க்ளீனாக இருந்திருக்கும். பயாலஜி நல்லா புரிஞ்சதுன்னு நினச்சிக்கிறேன். நீங்கள் வந்து ஒரு வாட்ஸ்அப் குரூப்பில் வரணும். ஒரு வாட்ஸ்அப் குரூப் வந்து க்ரியேட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். நீங்கள் வந்து
இந்த நம்பருக்கு ஒரு ஹாய் மெசேஜ் அனுப்பிச்சிங்கன்னா அந்த
நான் கொடுக்குற நம்பருக்கு வந்து 9176552121. எப்படி ப்ரெஷ் பண்ணுறது? பல மாட்டேன்.
மட்டும் ஒன் சைடு
21. ஓகே. இந்த நம்பருக்கு வந்து நீங்கள் ஹாய் மெசேஜ் கொடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு வந்து இந்த நம்பரில் நிறைய கொஸ்டின் பேப்பர் கொடுக்கறதும் உங்களுடைய டவுட்ஸ்க்கு வந்து அந்த கிளாரிஃபிகேஷன் கொடுக்கறதும் பண்ணலாம். தயவுசெய்து இந்த நம்பரை வந்து எழுதி வச்சுக்கோங்க. நீங்கள் நாளைக்கு ஆஸ் யூஷுவலாக உங்களுக்கு வந்து கிளாஸ் இருக்கும். 9:30லேருந்து 5 o'clock வரைக்கும் கிளாஸ் இருக்கும் உங்களுக்கு. நீங்கள் யூஸ் பண்ணிக்கோங்க. தேங்க்யூ வெரி மச். Pak, jawab nih, Pak. Saya ada pertanyaan. Ada soal sebenarnya. Nah, kelas ini benar benar chemistry ya. Chemistry ya nanti.
First chemistry class over chemistry. Okay sir.